What's going on? Is your man Jose, aka the Dominican Dream, for the boxing roundtable, and I am ready to talk boxing live right now. I'm giving the immediate reaction for the Shakur Stevenson versus Artem Hartunian fight that just ended minutes ago. I want to know what the people think, man. I want to go to the streets. I want to go to the streets. I want to know what the fans think. First and foremost, I will like to give you know Shakur credit for doing for fighting his fight, not looking bad. He did look good. Um, but it went exactly how I said that it was gonna go. If you guys watched the preview show, he had a tailor-made opponent in front of him, a guy who's a plotting fighter. He did demonstrate some good things in there. He was moving his head. There was some waist movement in there. He was mixing up his strategy of attack. Then later on, he began to move and use his feet and attack that way. Speaking about Artem Hartunian, but overall, he didn't have the speed, he didn't have the class, he didn't have the skill and the power to possess any threat to Shakur Stevenson. That being said, I'm sure there were many people out there who thought that Shakur Stevenson needed a stoppage in order to shine in this fight, in order to redeem himself for that horrid fight against Edwin De Los Santos. And he didn't do that. He didn't deliver that. I saw people, they showed it right there on ESPN, and I'm really surprised that they showed it. There was no commentary on it, but I know you guys saw it if you were watching the broadcast. There were groups of people, lines of people exiting the arena at the end of that fight. Shakur Stevenson's own fans, because they're there to see him. They came to see Shakur Stevenson in his hometown. He was the top of the bill. It was the Shakur Stevenson show. I think Shakur Stevenson is what he is. Do not expect anything else from him. Do not expect more from him. He's a fighter with limited power. He's a fighter that doesn't like to take risks. He's a fighter that's not going to sit in the pocket with someone who possesses the speed, the explosiveness of a of a Tank Davis, of a Teofimo Lopez, of a Pitbull Cruz, or even of a Ryan Garcia. It is what it is with him. I think he's a tremendously good defensive fighter, and part of the reason that his defense is so good is that there's not a lot of offense coming from him. There's not much risk taking from him. So therefore, your offense, your defense is going to be good because you're solely focused on that. You're primarily focused on that. Good performance by him as far as getting the W goes, but another boring fight. Another boring fight. I want to go to the comments, and it seems that usually for a post fight show, we have people commenting on here, and people are hyped, are ready to say something. But for this post fight show, maybe I started it too early, but I don't see any comments. And even right now, on ESPN, the State of Boxing, which I have on my television with the volume down, they're trying to, I guess, save the show by promoting Abdullah Mason, who is an action fighter, What does this mean for Shakur Stevenson? This means that not only Top Rank, Eddie Hearn, Golden Boy, PBC, you name it. No one's going to be lining up to sign Shakur Stevenson. No one's going to be lining up to risk money on him. No one's going to be lining up to pay this kid. You know, Ephraim, what's going on? Constant Sal, tough. Or Shaki Foster versus Constant Sal. Skipping a little bit the Shakur Stevenson talk. I want to know, Ephraim, this is a show, mainly, of course, we're going to talk about Oshaki, Constant Sal, William Cepeda. I didn't get to watch that fight, but I did see a clip where he stopped Giovanni Cabrera. But talk to me, Ephraim. What did you think of Shakur Stevenson and his performance, and what does this mean for him? Shakur might as well. I'm assuming you meant to say Shakur might as well go to Matchroom. Well, he's gonna have to go with whoever takes him. With whoever takes him, and no one's gonna be lining up. No one's gonna be lining up, offering tons of cash. He turned down a $15 million contract. I don't know how many fights it was with Top Rank. That was his best bet. But he thinks too highly of himself. And as you say right here, Shakur Stevenson stock is going down, and I think that is unanimous. I think that this was a chance that he had tonight to make his stock rise again, and he was unable to do it. He was unable to do it because he's simply not that kind of fighter. He's not that kind of guy. Anybody out there trying to, or still claiming that Tank wants no part to him, etc. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. You guys have seen both of their performances. Shit, we seen Frank Martin put Hartunian down, and Frank Martin is not known to be a prolific puncher, but he does have good pop. He has more than enough pop to keep you honest, and then some. And he's a much entertaining fighter than Shakur Stevenson. I understand, yes, he pulled out of the Shakur Stevenson fight, but when you're being offered the Tank Davis fight, yeah, you're gonna. That's a no-brainer. That's like someone being offered, all right, Benavidez or Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez is ready to fight you. So, are you sure you want to go with the Benavidez fight? You're gonna take, if you're at 168, 175 pounds, you're gonna take Canelo hands down. That's the high-profile fight. That's the high money fight. That's the big money fight. So Frank did the right thing. He made the right move. Anyway, he should have went back to Top Rank. Sorry. Let's see if they even want him. And now, if they do, decide to work things out with him, that deal that they offered him, if I was Top Rank, I would offer him a lot less. A lot. But when I mean a lot less, I mean significantly less. Significantly less. Anyway, man, I'm getting ready to post the link. Anybody that wants to come on live with me, I want to hear what the streets got to say. I want to hear what y'all got to say, man. So I'm getting ready to put out the link right here so that people can join me live. Shaki Foster. I also want to know what you guys thought of that fight. Shaki Foster versus Constant Sal. ESPN was saying one thing, as the announcer was saying one thing. I got a review from my cousin who was able to watch the fight better than I could. I was actually working at the time, but I was looking at the fight. And from what I saw, it did look like Shaki Foster put on a dominating performance against Constant Sal, who simply, as I mentioned in my pre-fight show, looked like uh, he looked like he might have thought he had something, and then he got in the ring and realized that he didn't. I think it was one of those nights where the guy is 35 years old. He's been through his gauntlet. He's been in tough fights. He's gotten the ugly end of a few decisions, and tonight he may have gotten the good end of a bad decision, right? Maybe in the boxing world, the people who promote him trying to pay him back for his losses, and maybe that win he should have gotten against Oscar Valdez. Anyway, your official realtor, my man Joel, talk to me. What's going on? Shakur was getting booed in Newark, his home. His corner looked very disappointed. Another thing about his corner being disappointed, why go back and forth so much with your coach, man? Your coach is the guy trying to help you out in the fight. The coach is your eyes and ears outside of your own. He's there to guide you. And not only that, he's your grandfather. He's your grandfather. So sometimes shut the fuck up and listen to what Pop's got to say. Listen to what he got to say. You know what I mean? But very bad night for the stock of Shakur Stevenson. What's next for him, and what do you think? My bad, Sean. I'm about to post a link. My bad. I gotta post that link, man. Anybody that wants to get on, please click on that link. I just commented. The link is right there. The Boxing Roundtable. You see the link. Anybody that wants to get on live, click on that link, and I will bring you on live to hear what you gotta say. To hear what the streets gotta say. Pronunciation mistakes. As I have an earphone in, and it's sometimes I can't hear myself well speak. So. Boxing Maniac, my man, my co-host Sean, the Boxing Maniac. I put the link up here. Hopefully you see it. The link is there. If not, I am going to send the link to you right now. Anybody that wants to hop on, the link is there. The link is there. Anybody that wants to get on, hop on. The link is there. I'm bringing the Boxing Maniac on right now. So my viewers, stay tuned. He's coming on right now in about a second. Live from Newark Prudential Center, my man, my brother, Sean, the Boxing Maniac.
Yo,
Talk
I was
to
bad. I was horrible. Yo, June, tell the people.
Yo, that shit was dookie, man. Yo, you look up dookie in the dictionary, shit was ass.
Yo, June, holla at me for next week.
Yeah, dog. All right,
It'll be good.
All right, bro.
Yeah, I know.
How was that shit?
No bueno.
Right, no bueno, right? Let me know what that motherfucking Tank Davis shit is.
Yeah, I got you.
Sean.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready, break it down.
Yeah. It's just I'm out here live, man. All right, let's just get right to the main event, right? Shakur Stevenson again. He did what he wasn't supposed to do, and that was a subpar performance. Yes, he won definitively, but again, I was in there live, and no one was impressed. I already see people crying that Hartunian was running and he was trying to survive, blah, 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 blah. The excuses. Fighters run from Tank. You see why he do? Again, The bias in boxing will never stop. It will forever be the same. When it comes to the fighters they like, they're gonna make an excuse. And I'm gonna say this. Um, yes, Hartunian again, he's no bum, he's no slouch. Bronze medalist, he has that pedigree. But the point is this was a fighter tailor-made for Shakur. A fighter that Shakur should have outboxed easily. A fighter that doesn't even have power. So what are we doing here? We just boxing. You're putting people to sleep, and he's gonna get criticized again, and he's gonna cry about it. No need to cry, bro. Do something. Make the fight. Cause the action. He's the opponent. What you mean he was running? You gotta figure it out. That's what elite fighters do. They make it work. They make adjustments. They make shit happen, bro. It's simple. It's simple. Again, I came all the way to New Jersey and I'm pissed. I should have just watched this shit tomorrow morning with my coffee. Cause I mean, again, not taking nothing from Shakur. We know he's skilled. We know he's defensive, but he's too defensive. He's too laid back. He's too non-aggressive, and that's not good for boxing. It's not entertaining. We could talk about Floyd, but at least Floyd was there and he did better. He looked better. It was like, okay, it was boring, but it didn't put you to sleep. This shit is boring and it puts you to sleep. So come on, man, Shakur, he got to do better. If I'm top ranked, I'm like, yeah, have Kentucky Fried Chicken sign you, because your next fight should be on Nickelodeon.
Let me ask you something, Maniac, pertaining to that, pertaining to top rank, pertaining to the marketability, pertaining to the value, to the stock of Shakur Stevenson. What happens now? What happened to his stock, which was in desperate need of rescue? What happened to his stock tonight?
Well, me personally, it takes
I mean business wise, right?
Oh well, I'm gonna tell you this though. The arena was pretty packed. I'm gonna be honest. Now, as far as how many of those was comps, I don't know. But I'm gonna assume it doesn't do good, because who's gonna want to invest in something that you're not gonna get a return, right? I mean, how many of these fights is he gonna have before we say, are we gonna keep giving an excuse? Oh, next fight. Oh, it's just this. No. I'm gonna assume Top Rank is not signing him. This is not good business, bro. This is not good business. I wouldn't sign him.
They gave the details today, which I mentioned earlier in the show, in the first couple of minutes where I opened up that they gave the details on ESPN. Mark Kriegel said that Top Rank, while he was interviewing, Top Rank offered you a contract for $15 million, and I believe it was for about 5 fights. 5 fights. And Shakur thought that wasn't enough for him. He thought that he was worth more than that. So I think that now those 15 million for 5 fights, Top Rank might when he comes back to try to sign with Top Rank, they should tell him, we'll give you a quarter of that.
Yeah. Listen.
They were offering him 15 million for 5 fights, and he turned that down. You think he's gonna get something like that now? Yeah, that's what I was telling you. Yeah, that's what Top Rank was offering him, but he thought he was worth more than that.
No, not right now. Not right now. Unless he fights another fighter of an elite status and dominates them in exciting fashion. Nobody wants to see this, bro. Nobody. And I'm telling you, this was in a packed arena. Don't get me wrong. And nobody left satisfied. I was in my session predominantly. As a matter of fact, your boy, bro, I saw your boy, the one that worked in the airport.
Yeah. Doug. Doug.
He was there. I saw him.
Yeah.
I said what up to him. And
he was there with Ephraim. The other Ephraim that was on the show last week. That's who he was there with.
He's gonna tell you the same. He's gonna tell you, bro. The arena was born. No, everybody was just upset, and my section all Shakur. Oh, come on, man, yo. And they got to the point where they just gave up. They just stood quiet, like, yo, you know what? And people by the ninth round, and you could speak to Ephraim as well.
They showed
They
it.
started leaving.
They
started leaving.
They showed it on ESPN. The cameraman
Okay.
showed it. The cameraman showed it, but the announcers were mute. The announcers were mute. They made no comment. But the cameraman make sure that they caught it. They put it on tape. So we saw it. Everybody at home saw it. There were
Yeah.
lines. There were lines of people leaving. One more thing, real quick. Oshaki Foster comes inside. What did you think? But before that, looking at everything, fighter for fighter. People are always talking Tank Davis versus Shakur Stevenson. How do you see that fight?
Well, again, styles make fights. I don't like to be in my feelings and just run and say Tank. But I still gotta favor Tank in that fight. I think Shakur's gonna give him problems early. But again, you mentioned something, right, that we know. There will come a point where you have to fight Tank, right? And Shakur will have to. He doesn't have the pop. And I'm gonna tell you right now, he's not gonna take a Tank punch, bro.
Nah.
So that's if Tank can't get to him, then Shakur will put on arguably the best defensive effort I probably ever seen. If he could keep Tank away from him for 12 rounds and just outbox him and win. I don't see that happening. I'm gonna go with Tank. I'm gonna go with Tank in that fight, man.
I agree, and I want to add a little something to that as well. I think that uh, remember, at some point, everybody has to fight Tank in the ring, right? No matter how many rounds you're getting away from him, you moving, you being slick. But again, he was able to stand in front of Hartunian because Hartunian had no pop. So I said it in the pre-fight show. This was the perfect guy for him to sit in the pocket against and defend from close range. But against Tank, there comes a point where everybody that fights him in the ring, that's inside the ring with him, must exchange with him. And one thing is, Tank has a chin, right? We saw him take good punches from Pitbull Cruz and others, including Frank Martin, who has pretty good pop. Not the
And
greatest
Ryan.
puncher,
And
and
Ryan.
Ryan. He can take a punch. So we know that he's gonna eat Shakur's punches, right? So, and remember, you're talking about defense. Okay, who's the star? Tank is the star. Tank is the multi-million-dollar man. You're not gonna get a decision against him doing that shit. You're not gonna get a decision against him. And when you decide to trade and exchange, which you will at some point, you're not gonna win that exchange. Shakur Stevens is not gonna win that exchange. So I like Tank in that fight. I like Tank by late stoppage or decision because again, Shakur can be that defensive. He can sit in the pocket against Hartunian. He didn't do it against De Los Santos. He's not gonna do it against Tank. Right? Styles make fights. I understand. I can see Shakur giving Tank trouble, like you mentioned, early. But there's 12 rounds in that fight. That ring ain't but so big. And Tank makes every opponent he's in the ring with fight him, exchange with him at some point. He is that good at putting pressure. Not only that, let's mention the quickness. Let's mention the reflexes. Let's mention the intelligence of Tank, right? He's also another southpaw. He can use his jab. He can move. He's not a one-trick pony. He's not Hartunian. So I think that it's a totally different dynamic. I think people got to shut that argument down right now, saying that Tank don't want to fight him. If Shakur was at PBC, they would have been fought. They would be fighting right about now. I think right now Shakur Stevenson is in an ugly place business-wise. He might have to stay with Top Rank, and it looks like he might have to fight Teofimo Lopez.
Yeah.
Tony Hilio. Why is Shakur always arguing with his grandpa trainer? Dude needs to listen. Yes, if you didn't catch that, Sean, because you was there at the fight, but between every round, He's arguing with his grandfather's trying to tell him something. He's talking back to his he was acting like he was his own trainer. He wasn't that. Not only is he his trainer, but he's his grandfather. You know what I'm saying? Like listen to him, man. Listen to the dude, bro. You know, like shut up and listen. And he was telling him, you gotta let your motherfucker. You want to put this motherfucker out? You gotta let your hands go. You know. Anyway, I know you at the fight. I know you're busy. I know you probably gotta go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, thanks, man, for coming
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Anything
Nah,
else you want to add? Oshaki Foster.
so yeah, that's gonna go down as an all-time robbery. Now we talk about highway robbery. This was it. I mean, now don't get me wrong, it wasn't the most exciting. This wasn't. This was a very subpar fight. But Oshaki won that fight, man. I don't think it's hard to see. And what
How
they
did you
did
see?
to
How
him,
did you see it? How did you see it being there? What
me
more or less? How
being
many
live,
rounds? How many rounds to how many rounds did you see it being there?
I'll say at least 9-3. No worse than 8-4. No worse. Five rounds to Conceição is doing too much. But you gave him the fight. Giving him 5 is being like the most generous. Like, all right. But bro, I like 3 rounds, man. 9-3. That was, maybe you could say give him another, but there's no way he won 5 rounds, let alone that fight, bro. It's boxing, man. He's not the first and he won't be the last. And again, this has nothing to do with Conceição. He's not the judge. You know, people tend to attack the fighter. They get what the fighter had nothing to do with it. His people didn't judge the fight. It was the judges. He came in. He did not really look good. In fact, you text me. You say, yo, Conceição is shot. And I agree. He just doesn't look himself. It was just a very average performance on his end. So how the fuck?
And a very effective performance by Oshaki as well.
Yes, and not the most exciting, but he did enough.
No. That's why I said effective.
Cleaner, he landed the cleaner punches. He landed the more punches, the more power punches.
He was very good defensively.
Yo, how, bro? How that's just crazy, man. It's just crazy. But I feel bad for Oshaki because he's a humble warrior.
Yeah.
You know, he's not. He just go in there and do his work. He punch in and go home. He don't talk to nobody. So for this to happen to someone, even if it was a dickhead fighter, right? But Oshaki especially, man, it was wrong what they did to him. They should give him an immediate rematch. But this is top rank. They've done this before to a Pacquiao. So if they could do this to a Pacquiao, bro, you nobody. Anybody else under that is nobody. So I'm not shocked. It's wrong, but I'm not shocked.
I from what I saw most of it. I was cutting hair, and I can't really go by what the narrator say. You know, ESPN, those are the commentary on ESPN. Those are the biggest meat riders, the biggest pushers of propaganda in all of boxing. I suggest anybody that watches ESPN fight, put some music on in the background and don't listen to that shit. Just watch it because that shit is just horrible. But yes, they did have Foster dominating. But speaking about and I saw him win, and I saw him winning comfortably, soundly in what I was able to concentrate on. Speaking about dickhead fighters, which you mentioned, Keyshawn Davis. I think that dude, he's got to shut his mouth. He's got to shut his mouth. He has to perform and he has to fight. I know he only has 10 fights, but if you only have 10 fights, then shut the fuck up. I mean, what did you think of that performance? What did you think of that ugly fight? And, you know, the referee's bias towards one fighter. I know it was the Keyshawn Davis show. He's part of the fighters being showcased, but it was a bit disgusting to watch at times.
Yeah, so I'll say this, man. Keyshawn performance was solid. Nothing to brag about. I mean, he won the fight. I mean, Maduano looked like he seemed like he was the one initiating a lot of that. I'm looking real closely. But again, this wasn't he's a future superstar performance. It wasn't. He landed some good combinations at times. He fought in a rugged fight. So it could say, okay, maybe he could fight in this kind of fight where it's rugged. But again, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for spectacular performance. He don't need to stop his opponent. I mean, slipping. I mean, dominating rounds. No, that wasn't the case. He dominated some rounds. He dominated some rounds, but overall, Keyshawn, to me, as a fighter, he's just solid. He's nothing special. I'm sorry. Can't become a world champion. This is the age of boxing. Anybody. Riley, he could fight for a vacant. He's with top rank. They'll look for him to get that. But is he gonna be able to compete with the elite of the elite? Absolutely not. I don't care what anybody say. He's not, and somebody gonna put his lights out. Somebody gonna cornetis in his ass. I'm telling you, he
I
is
agree.
nothing special.
I agree. He recently said that he would cook, that he would not tank short ass out, and he also remember when he pressed Frank Martin that time. And I'm not even gonna mention tank because we know that don't even that ain't nothing to talk about. But I think Frank Martin would make him look silly. Frank Martin will cook him, and I have a problem with ESPN. I gotta look at the rankings again. But I got a
Ready?
problem
Quick,
with
quick,
ESPN
quick.
saying that he's top 10,
Outside.
135 pounds. I got a problem with that. You heard
Yeah,
Sean? They trying to
yeah,
say that he's top 10 fighter in the world, 135 pounds.
yeah. Listen, before I go, man, Abdullah Mason's better than Keyshawn, man, at
Absolutely,
135.
absolutely,
Hands down.
absolutely. And your man, the other top ranked fighter from Brooklyn.
Oh, Shushu, hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Those are kids that
Shushu,
you can see the talent in them. You can see that.
and they
Those guys
got
got talent.
dog, man, and they don't play with their food.
Nah.
Keyshawn trying to do too much, and then after every fight, hey, I fight him, and he want to get, man, do something first. First of all, he got the Mickey Mouse KFC chicken belt, and he think he's somebody, man. Listen, that's that, man. But yo, Dream, thank you, my brother. I'm gonna head out. I need to get some rest. Um, I holla at you. We'll speak more on it. Oh, and Cepeda won by knockout. Third round. I saw that shit because I was falling asleep.
Wow.
I put it on my
Wow.
DAZN.
Wow. Wow. I didn't know
Yeah,
it was a third round
third
knockout.
round.
Shout
Body
out you.
shot.
Ooh, shout out to him.
Camarón is a problem at 135. As a matter of fact, he'll cook Keyshawn.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Anyway, you already know, Sean. Thanks for coming at us live from the fight. I'm gonna take it down now. As you guys know, William Cepeda did his thing. I can't review that fight because I did not watch it. It's difficult to watch two fights at a time. Um, also, um, my co-host mentioned Abdullah Mason. He mentioned uh, Keyshawn Davis. Shout out to Abdullah Mason for putting on spectacular performance. Yes, against a guy that they're still building his record. But I have seen LeBron fight before, and he's a tough dude, and he just looked the way he's supposed to look as an up and coming blue chip prospect against a fighter of the caliber of LeBron. Anyway, man, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks everybody for commenting. Tony Yayo, can can Cepeda fight Shakur? Top rank versus Golden Boy Cross promotion. Yes, he can definitely fight him. Oscar De La Hoya has mentioned that. I believe that that is another fighter because Shakur is good, very, very good defensively, and he shines against those kind of fighters. And Cepeda's not even though he did come out with the third round stoppage over Cabrera, he's not a one punch knockout artist. He doesn't have that explosive power. He kind of wears you down, and he doesn't have the great that I don't think he has that great chin that most Mexicans have. I've seen it. I've seen him fight. I've seen him take punishment. I don't like the way he reacts to it. So I think that fight can happen. Actually, look for that fight to happen. They can definitely make that happen. Golden Boy won't mind, and I would see Shakur dominating that fight, just like he did tonight. Could he stop Cepeda? Yeah, he can because he is a sharpshooter, but we know it is difficult for him to stop anybody. But I do see that fight being, another tailor-made style for Shakur. Shakur has to fight another explosive, fast, you know, fast twitch muscle power puncher. Tank De Los Santos rematch with Pitbull Cruz. I understand, yes, Pitbull Cruz didn't want to fight him, etc. Blah blah blah. But there are reasons why those things happen. Again, the PBC guys, as you saw, Frank Martin, he pulled out of the fight. Pitbull didn't want to fight. Tank is not, for Shakur to get any of those guys. My man mentioned right here, your official realtor, from a business perspective, why would any of the top fighters want to fight him? Shakur Stevenson, he's referring to. It doesn't make sense or sense as he wrote it. And that is correct. You're gonna take a big risk that you might lose on. You might get outboxed, and there's really no value. There's really no reward for that risk, right? Um, Shakur's in a tough spot, and I think he's gonna be forced to kind of get old fighting, whoever he can fight. He's gonna get a little old, and then when he gets a little, worn down, then he might get an opportunity to fight some of the other guys, similar to what's happening with Teofimo Lopez. People don't want to fight Teofimo Lopez because they don't want to lose to him. Because if they lose to him, there's something about him that you just don't want to lose to him. And he's a guy that can beat anybody, but yet he can lose to anybody. He's strange in that way. I'm not gonna say lose to anybody because he only has lost to. He did have a questionable win over Sandor Martin, which is a tricky fighter. Anyway, yeah, I think Cepeda can fight Shakur, and I think Shakur would dominate Cepeda. I think he has that style, plodding fighter. Not the fastest guy, not the biggest puncher. He doesn't have those boxing resources. He doesn't have the intelligence, the technique to compete with someone like Shakur Stevenson. Stevenson has to fight the top of his weight class or the top names in and around his weight class. Tank, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney was one of them. We know he's talking about he's not fighting for 2 years. Ryan Garcia is on a whole other journey. Subriel Matias just lost. But, you have Alberto Puello there. You have Liam Paro. I think he beats both. Both are not exciting fights. The only exciting fight is going to be the Tank fight because Tank is going to make it exciting. But there's not going to be another Shakur Stevenson fight that would be exciting unless he faces De Los Santos again and actually says, I'm going to bang with him. I'm going to bang with him. I'm going to take more risk. And I really don't think he's doing that. Anyway, Tony Yayo says, makes sense. Oh, good looking out, Tony Yayo, for tuning in. You already know, share, like, subscribe. This is your man, Jose, from the Boxing Roundtable. And that was my man, Sean, the Boxing Maniac. You guys already know, man. Catch y'all next time.